Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to today's Kendo rant. Hope you're having a great day. I'm going to fire through the questions that we got from the last video and then I've got another rant for you from this book. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first one. Hi Andy, do you have a pre-Kendo diet or routine you do regularly before practice? I find that my performance greatly lacks if I don't drink tons of water throughout the day and have a very small amount of food in my stomach. Yet if I drink too much or eat too much beforehand, I get a little sick to my stomach or lightheaded during or after suburi, karigeko, etc. Okay, so yeah. Drink lots of water. That's the first thing I definitely say to anybody doing Kendo is you definitely need to make sure that you're properly hydrated. All right. I actually need to drink loads of water before I practice for a full 2 hours. Let's say. I'll probably try my best to drink at least a litre and a half to 2 litres of water before the practice. Like from maybe about an hour. An hour and a half before practice starts, I'll start drinking water quite heavily. But throughout the day as well, try and drink as much as you can. And yeah, make sure you've got food in your stomach so that you've got energy. The stuff you can sort of get as well, like, you know, like... I wouldn't recommend like energy drinks, especially not like the carbonated ones, because they could like make you feel worse. But you know, sometimes there's like stuff that kind of boosts energy and stuff like that. They can maybe be helpful. Just be making sure you know what it is that you're actually sort of eating before you do so, and then just try and eat sort of healthy stuff if you can, because like you need to be making sure you're getting the proper vitamins and stuff for your body so that it's working as it's supposed to be. I'm no expert on this sort of matter, to be honest, and I've never really sought any proper advice about it. I've always just kind of gone off what sort of feels right for me. But the main thing has just been making sure that I definitely get hydrated beforehand. And yeah, these days I use like, sometimes have like you can get like these pre-workout drinks and stuff like that. I sometimes use those, especially now I'm getting older. It's and I'm feeling the burn a bit more than I did when I was younger. So yeah, that's my sort of 2 cents on that. Like I said, I'm not an expert, so I can't give you a great answer on it, I'm afraid. Hello Andy, I do have a question. During Subazeri, is it considered Hansoku if I, on purpose, try to create an opening by punching with my left hand whilst holding the shinai to try and create an opportunity for a hikimen strike? Normally I used to do that while doing lateral ashisabaki, but then suddenly moving the opposite way and then do that punch to create the opportunity. Okay, so this is a difficult one to answer because it really depends on what you mean, but alright, so you're in Subazeri, alright? Essentially, you can sort of do a punching action with your left hand, but you can't do it towards the opponent's body. So you can't punch him in the head, right? You can't sort of sock him around the ears, even if you're holding the shinai. At least can't give him a sort of punch in the head. That's gonna get your Hansoku, I'm pretty sure. You can though, you can give their fists a little bit of a bump this way to kind of make their hands go this way, which will sort of solicit some sort of reaction. And another one that you can do is if your shinai are tied up on the opposite side, you can actually hit the shinai on the side here at this part. You can do that. That'll kind of get it out the way as well. But yeah, definitely nothing directed towards their body or something that might cause pain or injury. What I'm talking about is literally against their kote. So you'd be like sort of like this, and you could kind of hit their right kote, sort of this area that's well padded, like that, and that will kind of send their hands this way, like I say, and then likely their reaction is going to be one of two things. They'll bring it back this way and expose their men, yeah, so they'll get hit here and go like this, and then you'll have the chance for their hikimen. If you do like this, you punch this way and then hit the men, or they'll get hit this way like this, and then they'll block their men like this. Yeah, that's another really common one. So they'll get hit here and they'll bring their hands up this way or like this way, okay? In which case, you have the chance to hit this way and then hikido, okay? So you have to watch how they react to your actions. Hi Andy, really enjoying the Kendo Rant series so far. Thank you so much for the great and entertaining content. I have a question about Quatermain strikes. I realise that my Quatermain strikes are almost always not in sync, i.e. no kikentai no ichi. My foot is always lagging behind when I strike men after kote and it's not synchronized. Could you please give me advice how I could improve my Quatermain strikes? Yeah, okay, this is really common, all right? It's a really common problem that people have with Quatermain. And it comes from you not having enough sort of power built up in your left calf, all right? So not enough tame. Basically, you need to make sure that you're launching yourself forward from your left calf, and then the minute that kote hits, yeah? So probably you'll find that your kotewaza is a little bit subpar as well. You'll probably find you haven't got enough hikitsuke, which is when you bring up the left leg after you hit. You probably haven't got enough hikitsuke when you do kotewaza. So think about that as well. Really have to concentrate on putting the power into your left leg, pushing forward the right leg with your left calf. Make your stamp, hit the kote, and the instant you stamp, you need to engage your right thigh to pull up your left leg so that you're ready to hit again for that men. Bam, bam, okay? If you're struggling with it, which, you know, obviously that's what you've written about, the other thing that you can do is, oh, I just slid the camera there as I'm trying to plug the power cord in. There we go. The other thing you can do is slow it down a bit, all right? Just slow it down, all right? You don't have to, doesn't mean you have to start making massive, unrealistic swings, yeah? Bam, bam, like this is okay. Kote, mem, okay? Kote, mem. Then slightly get faster. Just make sure that you're definitely bringing up that left leg after each one. Kote, mem, okay? Kote, mem. This speed is okay if you're doing it right. Then gradually get it faster as you start to get it right, yeah? Kote, mem, okay? Kote, mem, kote, mem, kote, mem, kote, mem. Yeah, you can speed it up as you get more and more capable of doing it. But basically, think about that left calf. Make sure you're pushing from your left leg and just slow it down. Don't try and go faster than you can, okay? Yeah, that's the best thing I can say about that. Okay, next one. Okay. I have questions about teaching curriculum. Here's my backstory. I run a full-time Tang Sudo, brackets Korean Shotokan. That's like karate, right? And I'm 4th dan, about to be 5th dan. Cool. I've been teaching martial arts 27 years with 38 years of training, and I'm 2nd dan in Kendo. I was encouraged to start teaching Kendo at my school, which I've been doing for about 8 months. Brackets, so I'm a new Kendo teacher. My question is about curriculum. I've not found or seen a curriculum for the teaching of Kendo, meaning for your 5th Q test, you should be teaching or learning XYZ. For 4th Q, you'll be working on XYZ, and so on. I'm a very good teacher, brackets, I know that sounds bad, but I've spent most of my career using curriculum. Fair enough. Kendo seems pretty haphazard in its approach to teaching. By this I mean no one can give a definite answer to testing requirements or expectations. I hear different things from different people all the time. I feel the lack of systems and the ability for new students to have a clear path with more regular checkpoints is causing a high attrition rate within Kendo as a whole. I understand that this is the way it had been done, but I think it can be done better for today's mindset. So is there something that is written for teachers that lays out what is ought to be taught when any federation, by any federation that you know of? I've not found it. Sorry, this is so long. No. Right, okay. Great question, all right? Okay. Right, how am I going to tackle this? Okay, here's how it works, right? In general, in most places, and in most countries, though it varies, it definitely varies, all right? Up to 1st Q, the awarding of grades is administered generally locally, depending on the federation and the size of the federation, right? Here in the UK, it's administered at the dojo level, all right? So in our dojo, we award up to 2nd Q, all right? That means, yeah, that if you're in a situation like that, right? So you need to figure out what the situation is in your country first, but if you're in a situation where you're able to award up to 2nd Q, or whatever Q in your own dojo, then you're free to create a curriculum that suits that. That's what I've done in the dojo that I'm part of. And in Japan, it's generally done at the sort of, I think it's done at the city level, as opposed to the prefectural level. But again, it depends on the area. So where I used to live, it was the Q grades that my kids did. They were done at like, again, it was up to second Q, was done at the city level. So it's just the city Kendo Federation. Now, don't forget in Japan, it's much different. So just even in the city, there could be 10 or 15 dojos, depending on where you are. I think in ours, there was like 5 or 6. And they sort of had a curriculum. I mean, it wasn't really a curriculum set out saying, okay, this is what we're looking for. Because to be honest, for my daughter's, my daughter's 4th Q, she did, all she had to do was kirikaishi and short jigeiko. And my younger daughter's 6th Q, she just had to do, I think it was kirikaishi and 3 or 5 times men, something like that. But basically, the City Federation decides what that sort of criteria is. Now, the reason that there isn't like a hard curriculum in place for those levels, and for even for higher levels there isn't, there's only sort of guidelines, is because Kendo's very abstract. And essentially at all levels really, but especially once you get into the Dan grades, the criteria that they're actually judging you against is or should be judging you against, is essentially, in Japan anyway, in my experience in Japan, up to 5th Dan, from 1st Q up to 5th Dan, it's administered at the prefectural grading, okay? So each prefecture can set its own criteria for gradings up to 5th Dan, okay? And then from 6th Dan to 8th Dan, they're administered at the National Federation. So the All Japan Kendo Federation then determines what's required to pass those grades. Now, like I said, there's resources out there in Japan though for certain things. So like the written test, in Japan it's pretty much decided from 1st Dan up to 5th Dan. They put out this book, like I've been talking about in a few of these videos, and everyone has to use this book and they have to give the same answers that are written in this book. All right, so it's not a curriculum, but it's kind of a uniform set of concepts and understanding that everyone has to adhere to. But that's just for the written test. In terms of the actual tests, I mean, what they're looking at for most grades is, let's say 1st Dan, I'd say up to 3rd Dan, they're generally looking at your technical competency, which is essentially the ability, how good your understanding of Yuko Datotsu is, and your kind of grasp of Kikentai Ichi, and little else actually, up to that level. It's just, they kind of, and the problem is because the concept of Yuko Datotsu and to some extent Kikentai Ichi are quite abstract and sort of vary a little bit from person to person. And it's hard to put down in paper, this is exactly what they want for 1st Dan, this is what they want for 2nd Dan. Generally, just out of experience, most teachers or grading panelists have an idea of, okay, so this is a good enough example for 1st Dan or for 3rd Dan or whatever when they're grading people. For 4th Dan upwards, then there's more things that they start to look for. They start to look for Datotsu no Kikai, which is the opportunities to strike, and things like seme, of course, like stuff like that. And again, it's like on a sliding scale, right? So what they're actually looking for, and the contents of the grading exam for, say, 4th Dan and for 6th Dan, even though that's done at national level, generally it's not so different, right? It's just they want to see a better version of it, and you're doing it with somebody who is also of a better level, yeah? So that's why it becomes a sort of grey area, because it's not that they don't ask something more necessarily of 6th Dan than they do for 4th Dan, but the thing is they expect a higher quality of it overall, and they expect, well, it's not that they expect, but the grading itself is harder because you're challenged by a stronger opponent. So Kendo's a bit strange in that respect, in that it doesn't have that sort of thing. Now, having said that, right, there's, like I said, there's nothing to stop you putting it in place, right, and coming up with it. I have a curriculum in place at the dojo that I practice at, so especially for new beginners, that gets them up into the first grading, that I've set out on paper for them. It's obviously changing all the time though, because it depends on lots of different factors, like, you know, how many people we've got or how they're actually coping with what we've got. That's one thing. You could, there's nothing to stop you going out there and creating one, yeah, for your club. Also, there's a great book put out by the All Japan Kendo Federation, and it's in English. This one is called the Official Guide for Kendo Instruction. Now I'm going to be adding this to the KendoStar website actually with a bit of luck in the next sort of month or so. So keep your eyes out for that. But it's a really good book. It basically goes through an introduction to Kendo, and it's aimed at Kendo teachers rather than Kendo students. But it's good for students as well. But you know, how they should. What's good is it takes each thing. So this is how to put on the Kendo hakama, and it explains how to do it, and then it says teaching points. So it says this is what you should be careful of when you're teaching this particular thing, and that goes all the way through to things like Renzoku Waza. Here it says this is the different Renzoku Waza, and then here again it says teaching points. All right, so something like this is really good. So I'll be bringing that to the KendoStar website very, very soon. So definitely pick that up if you get a chance. But yeah, other than that, it's really just a case of something you're going to have to put in place yourself if you think it's something that you need. And you know, I agree that there is a bit of a sort of haphazard bit about it from the sort of side of Kendo, because Kendo is so abstract on so many things. So yeah, I'd sort of keep that in mind as well. All right. Okay, so that'll do for questions today. I'm going to sort of pick up this book again and go over something else that's in it. This book is the example grading questions for 1st Dan to 5th Dan, published by the All Japan Kendo Federation, and it follows on a little bit from that last question because it's about Kendo teaching. Now this is an example question for 4th Dan and 5th Dan. And I think it's a really, really great thing to talk about. So I'm going to kind of go through it. I'm going to sort of translate it as I go along. So it might be a bit choppy in my explanation because the grammar is very different. But I'll do my best. Okay, and the question is please explain the mindset and appropriate kind of methodology of a teacher, a Kendo teacher. And it says, first of all, that being a Kendo teacher is an extremely important position within the kind of progress of your own Kendo. It says that it's not exaggerating to say that the appropriateness of a teacher's teachings are directly influential to the progression of a student's technical abilities and also emotional growth. The Kendo, it says, for the Kendo teacher and the student, you both come into close contact, where you're bodies literally clash together. Because of this, the teacher's personality and kind of, overall demeanor are very important to this student and can actually influence them very much. Basically, as these are as follows, the basic approaches that teachers should follow. And there's 6 points that I'm going to go through. Okay, so 6 points for teachers to have in mind. Okay, the first one, it says it says basically to teach with conviction, enthusiasm, and kind of passion the things that you are conveying to the student. Okay, so have conviction, be passionate, and be enthusiastic. Okay, nobody wants to learn from somebody that doesn't really sound like they care. All right, have to be passionate about it. Number 2, it says take great care over the student's personality and their individual state of mind. So take care over, not everybody's the same. Yeah, so have to understand, okay, this person responds best like this person is, perhaps have this, difficult sort of situation, something like that. We talked a couple of days ago about students that didn't really react to your teaching, so that's kind of appropriate to it. Number 3, you have to also try your hardest to improve your own character and become a person that students can trust. Okay, so being a teacher isn't just standing in front of everybody and telling them what to do. You have to do your best to become a better person yourself, be a good example, and also be the person that the students can trust and feel like you are the correct person to be teaching them. Number 4, and this is a great one, it says you should work hard together with the students and practice with them, basically. It doesn't specifically say practice with them, but it says to do the shuden, which means like the kind of means the practice, but the kind of improvement together with the students, and aim to continually raise your abilities together. So that means you can't just sort of sit in a chair and tell them what to do. You have to be doing your best to also increase your own abilities together with them, so that you kind of lead in from the front, really, rather than just being sort of someone that does just tells them what to do. Number 5, it says put your heart into studying effective and efficient methods of teaching, and develop ways that are easy for a student to understand. So, don't just follow the same method of teaching that perhaps you were taught or something like this. You have to constantly be studying or thinking about yourself, how you can improve your teaching methods so that they are more effective and they're easy for the person to understand. And number 6, it says you should care for the health and safety of your students. Okay, so that seems pretty obvious, but it's of course extremely important. Okay, so you have to really care about this as well. So that kind of links with remembering that everybody is different. So some people have different problems than others, or making sure that you're not making people do something that's too dangerous, or going to cause them injury or harm. Okay, so that's the end of the points, but I know a lot of those things seem sort of really straightforward, and lots of the things in this book really do, but it's like I say every day when I read one of these out on these videos, I always say, well, you know, I know they're obvious points, but are you really, really taking them to heart, and are we really doing them? Even myself, just reading over these now, I'm involved in Kendo teaching, I have been for a long time, and it's good for me to like look back over these and really think, oh, well, am I really teaching with enough conviction and passion when I'm explaining, or am I kind of not putting enough of that in because I've been explaining this the same every week for the last sort of 10 weeks and I feel like I'm just repeating myself, you know? If that's the case, then it's still not working. Then maybe I have to think about a better method of getting my message across so that I can have more passion as I'm teaching it. Am I really properly considering the needs of my individual students? Am I really thinking about how they would really understand this or not? And am I really doing my best as well to kind of be a good example for them and be the person that they can trust to ask the questions to, or to trust to follow? Because it links to an earlier question on this page. Which I was debating between whether to go over this one or the other one. The other question, which I'll probably cover at another time, is it says explain how the important points of how to improve at Kendo, and it's written in bold. One of the things that's written in bold is that you should trustingly follow the teachings of your teacher. So it kind of goes hand in hand with being a good teacher. You have to be the person that the student can put all of their trust in and lead by example, really, so that, you know, because you have to ask that of the student. You know, to improve in Kendo, you have to put all your trust in your teacher and follow them wholeheartedly and follow everything that they are providing you with. So it's therefore the teacher's responsibility to be the correct person to lead them through the storm in that way. I really do think that's really, really important. It's quite deep, but it's very, very, very important aspect. Okay, so going back to this though, just quickly, is what's written in bold on this question is the part about remembering that your ability as a teacher, not just sort of your technical ability, but also your personality and the way you behave will influence your students. All right, so if you're sort of acting like not very good, or you're kind of sort of displaying sort of really often negative characteristics, then that's going to rub off on your students, and either they'll lose their respect for you or they'll follow you, and then you'll become sort of the leader of a group of people who are very negative in a particular fashion. So you have to really think about that. Is it really what you want from your group of students? Okay, so that's that. Anyway, it was a little bit disjointed because I was kind of reading it and translating it as I went, and it is a bit of a tough one because it is, like I say, it's a higher level question, and there's some pretty unusual sort of Japanese phraseology in there as well, so I had to kind of just deal with that as I read it out, but I think you get the point though. Quick recap: 1, you teach with enthusiasm, passion, conviction. 2, you care about your students' individuality. 3, you do your best to improve yourself as a person and become the person that your students can trust. 4, you do your best to improve together with the students, and together look to raise the level of everyone, including yourself. Number 5, you study and concentrate on developing and practicing effective and efficient teaching methods that are easy for your students to understand. And number 6 is you care for the health and safety of those you teach. Okay, so I think it's a fantastic topic. I really do want you to think about those if you are involved in teaching Kendo, and even if you're not, you will be at some point. If you carry on along the route of Kendo, you certainly will be in that position. Even if you're not the main teacher in your club, if you're kind of one of the senpai in the club, you're one of the sort of more senior students, the lower people, the newer people are still going to be looking up to you, all right? So those points are still very, very important, all right? Just because your club might have a specific teacher, it doesn't mean that you don't have an important role in the club as well. So do bear those points in mind. Okay, with that being said, I think that'll do for today. What did you think? Leave me a comment, let me know. You can hit me up with more questions and I'll answer them next time. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that sort of thing. And yeah, do your shopping at KendoStar. Where's the thingy? There it is, KendoStar.com. Because it's top quality gear, it's all worldwide free shipping, and it supports these videos. So there isn't really a reason not to, is there? All right, thanks a lot for watching, folks, and I'll see you next time.